The main thing about posture is that we want to have balance, and which will help the body start to relax. Mm-hmm. So good alignment. But really, one of the gifts that John has given this whole world is that from the very beginning, he didn't do a whole lot of put your legs here, your hips here, and he just said, find a posture that embodies dignity. And so that is giving you both the instruction for the body and the view that you're already good, healthy. There's something just powerfully complete in every moment. So that starts to work with that whether it's in a certain sense of impoverishment or a certain sense of hunger for getting more. I need more in order to be fully me, right? It just says, just take a posture that embodies dignity. So then the next thing is you just sort of consciously decide if you want to explore sitting practice with your eyes closed or with the eyes open. And if the eyes are open, then the gaze is just soft and lowered. You can maybe a few feet in front of you on the floor. And so there's a different feeling to that. And you can try either. The sense is trying to simplify. So it doesn't matter if you have dogs barking and kids making noise in the next room or whatever, traffic outside. You do your best to simplify. And so being in the body and gathering the attention and lowering the gaze or closing the eyes helps you simplify. And so once you start to feel the body, and then there could be a lot of time spent just feeling the seat and feeling the sensations of the body. And so then you just sort of enter that bodyfulness. Then you give your attention an object. So there are different kinds of meditation. They're not always on breath, but that's usually pretty universal that's where people would start. So then you start working with the breath. So working with the breath isn't actually the right language, because then it sounds like there's work to do. And it sounds like you need to have a certain kind of breath. I'm working towards long, deep breaths. But it really is discovering the breath, finding the breath, feeling the breath. So first it takes a while to actually locate it. And then usually we want to control it, because what does the mind do when it finds an object? It controls something. So we just see if we can just be with the breath. And then you see if you can let the attention. Again, there's so many beautiful analogies and metaphors, but one I like is that there's an in-breath and out-breath, and it's a little bit like a wave, and that you could sort of just feel that. Whether you feel it in the belly or the chest or whatever, but you just sort of feel that sensation, wave-like quality of the breath. And don't make a certain kind of wave, right? You just feel the wave. And it's going in and it's going out. And the breath is it, and that's why it's hard. Because you're like, oh, that sounds good. Oh my God, this is so boring. Breath? And usually you're not that interested after a couple of breaths. So maybe it's a reminder too that if we're trying to train being in the present moment, because most of the time we've been training in distraction, then we say, well, isn't the breath the perfect object? Because you don't have a breath that's a future breath, etc. So you stay with the breath, and then you'll notice at some point, and it might be very quickly, and it might be after a number of breaths, that all of a sudden attention is elsewhere. By now, I think everybody in our culture knows, oh, future, oh, past, right? So this is like, you don't have to say, did you notice that your mind goes in the past? And you rehash those conversations. Now people kind of know. The key thing there is that the distractions are memories, planning, random songs, movie that you watched last night, right? Commentary on your own meditation. It's all just thinking. And that's where people think, well, are there good thoughts? And I'm having bad thoughts. So we don't put a value on it. We just notice you're thinking, right? Or big truck went by, and then you start to visualize the truck, and then you're angry at the truck for interrupting you. So that's also, all of that was a thought. So you just notice that, and then here's where the power. You exercise that muscle, what we all have, is that we have the ability, and then we have to grow in the willingness to bring the attention back to just feeling the breath. So you just keep coming back. And then it's really good to normalize and to just know that your attention might be wandering 99% of the time. But and you don't have to constantly be just like, oh, like a battleground. Oh my God, it's unruly mind. You jerk it back. You want to always be kind and gentle. And you just like, oh my God, you don't even have to add more. You can just say, breath, come back to the breath. It's such a simple instruction, and that's why it's hard. It's really simple. You notice your mind has wandered, you bring it back to the breath. So now shall we do 60 seconds of it?
Yeah.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you, Janet.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That was so nice. For our listeners, that was riveting, I'm sure. 60 seconds of silence. But I'm curious for them what that was like, and maybe they could investigate that a little bit. And for those that are watching on video, they could kind of see how we were set up and how it kind of goes. So thank you for the beautiful instruction, as always.